Hi, I'm following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi Pico W lessons. We're on 113 and we're trying to take Pico data and send it to the PC and use a graphical user interface to plot data maybe or whatever. And Paul gave us homework to uh, change an RGB LED, and I couldn't put my hands on my RGB LED, so I decided to go ahead and just use NeoPixels. I think he wanted us to go through the color wheel on it, and I thought this would prove the data same as RGB. Plus, I can wear it and y'all can see it as we go. I don't have to have a camera in two different places. So anyhow, let's get to my code. We'll start with the Thorny code. So, um, like I said, we're doing pretty much the same thing, network sockets. I'm blinking the pin on my um Pico to let me know whether it's connected or not. And all this code is already on the Pico and it's running on battery right now. So I'm not going to, um, it's already running. So, but this is the code that's on it. Like I said, got the onboard LED. I set up a NeoPixel object. I'm using my NeoPixel, PIO NeoPixel library that I created uh, few few lessons back. Setting the brightness of that to 0.1s, it's still overwhelming the camera, but that's okay. And then all I'm doing is I'm starting out. I just want to fill it with blue. Filled it with blue to start out with. Then we're going to do our normal stuff to get the um, socket going and everything, and all that normal stuff, and all the way down to here. And then in our while true, all we're doing is waiting for our client to send us information, and it's going to send us uh, tuple and string format. So on the other end, I'll uh, turn a tuple into a string. And on this side, you use the eval and it'll turn the tuple back into, uh, it'll turn a string tuple back into a regular tuple with that. I've heard a couple things on the internet where eval might not be safe to use if you're getting data from outside, but we're pretty much we know our data. I guess it evaluates if you had whatever you had here was malicious code or something, then it would evaluate that and uh, maybe run it or something. I don't know. I've thought of a different way of doing it. Both MicroPython and Python can handle JSON files, and I actually tested that to see if you could send JSON, uh, use JSON dumps and JSON, whatever the other end of it is, and get that, and it worked fine. But seems like this eval is working fine to get the data that we need. And I had tested the eval with like a list and everything, and it seems like it's working like if you have a list of things and a dictionary of things. So I did some testing, and I think the eval will do what we need it to be to get data back into the without having to do it all by hand. So, like I said, if I was hooked up to the computer, we'd be printing out the color just to test it and everything. And all we're doing is using my NeoPixel object as a P, and it's just filling the color with the color that came back through. And then we're just sending that color back. And like I said, when you send it back, you're taking the tuple and turn it into a string, and then you can encode the string message string and send it back. So that's all that's happening there. And we'll go over to the client side, and it's a little bit more involved, but let me make myself a little smaller here. You don't need to see me that big. So it's like I say, I'm not using the Pi Q QT Charlotte. I can't get it right. Anyhow, I'm using Free Simple GUI, and it makes it so much easier. And all we need is a socket. We're setting up our socket, giving our address tuple here, and got some uh, variables that I'm defining at the beginning. And I know Paul likes his HSV color wheel, but I prefer the wheel that Adafruit uses to generate their uh, rainbows, and I think it's a better use of things. And when we get to the graph, I'll show you why I think it's better. Anyhow, so just doing that's the function that creates the uh, color that you want. So color between 0 and 255 compared to, I think with the HSV, you're doing 0 to 360. So it's just a different way of doing it. Anyhow, let's see. We'll skip. This is where we're doing our sending, so we'll get back to that. And our layout for our GUI is just a graph and then an exit button, so it was easy enough to do. I'm making the graph 800 wide by 300 tall. And like I said, the cool thing about you can define where your points are. So uh, X is a Y is -10 starting, and it's going up to 290. It has to add up to 300, but you're -10 to 300. That way you can see when uh, uh, one of the colors is flatlined, you'll be able to see it. It won't be running right on the bottom edge of that. Otherwise, we're starting our window, and then we're doing a timer. So we're sending out, it'll send out an event every 200 milliseconds. And then then we get into our event loop where we're reading our events. Like I said, this will every 200 milliseconds, it'll send it a T1 event. So first we're looking just to make sure that we didn't get to close or the X in the corner. If it is, we'll break out and close with our window closed down there. So here we got the T1 event coming on, and every 300 milliseconds, this is going to be an event, and we're starting a thread. It's really easy to start a thread in or Free Simple GUI. You just do this window start thread. You send it to where you're going to send it, and you also have a key so that it returns the uh, value when you get back. So that's pretty cool that you got that coming back so we can test it. I'll show you how we do that testing in a second. Here's our send. All we're doing, since we're in a function, we're going to have some global variables. And here's where we just call our wheel function and send a number between 0 and 255 up there, and we'll increment that as we go. And then, like I say, we're just, it'll return a tuple, and we're just making a string out of that tuple, and we're taking that string and encoding it and sending it off. And like I said, this is in a thread, so this can take a milliseconds to send it and then receive the answer back from the Pico, and it won't affect anything in the GUI. Your buttons will still be available to touch and everything, like to exit or whatever else you want to do. And then, like I said, it's going to we're going to receive that data back, and we're just going to do the data.decode in here, and then we're going to eval, so it's going to return the tuple. I thought about just using because we're creating the tuple here, we're sending it over to Pico, and then we're just sending it in the tuple right back. And I figured eventually we'll be sending temperature and humidity data probably from our Pico. That's probably a more realistic thing of doing with it. And that we'll be wanting to read data from the server and then plotting it. So this is what we're doing. We're getting that, and it's going to return that. Like I said, it's going to return this CS return thing that we have here, the N key when it finishes. So we're looking for the CS return event, and once the um, thread finishes sending and receiving the data, it's going to have this event. And you also get when you do that, you're going to get the value that the function returned to, which is just a tuple. So I'm taking that, you get the values of the CS return. That's the one that has the tuple in it. So I'm just dividing that out into X, Y, or Y2, and Y3 so that we can get that, get the separate colors for our drawing our graph. And then we're just doing the three graphs pretty much the same way we did with the sine wave, except we're using the data that we're getting now. And that's about it. And like I said, we're going to start on the left-hand side. You'll see it, and then go all the way across, and then it'll continue by scrolling. That's what I showed in the last video. You can go back and watch that one if you want to see more about the scrolling. And then like I said, we're drawing just one line. We're going from the last X to the new XY to the new XY. And each time through, we got to update the last XY on X and Y1 and Y2 and all that. And yeah, so yeah, if it's we got different ways here because one of them once it has the all the way across, you got to adjust your X a little bit because it won't go above 800. It's going to stay under 800. Besides that, it's all there is to it. Hopefully my server is still running and we can run this through, and all it's going to do is every 200 milliseconds it's going to recalculate, and it'll send it back and we'll be able to graph it. Let's try it. Hey, it's working. So you'll notice that my graph's different than maybe what Paul's going to have because I never have one of my colors all the way on, and in the HSV he has it all the way on sometimes. And I just think that this is more pure colors. You're only ever using two of the colors while you're doing it. The other one's going to be zeroed out. So you can see as the red goes up, it's there, and then it's going, the blues up now, and then the green will come up. You can watch the colors on my thing. And that's basically all we got to do. I don't know whether Paul wanted us to go this far with it or not, but I figured it was easy enough to do. And like I said, I think I had 30 some lines of code on the Pico and 56 lines of code here, and we're cooking with gas, I guess. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Paul, for all you do. You forced me to learn a lot more stuff than I would on my own. Have a good day.